What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today I'm going to be sharing some of my thoughts on the market because a lot of people out there I've noticed are very fearful still, despite having seen massive gains over the past month. A lot of people are very fearful that there's going to be another crash, and I'm just going to talk about that for a little bit and explain at least what I see going on in the market over not just the recent history, but the vast history that the whole stock market's had over the past couple of decades and just share some of my thoughts on it. And today, you can actually see that we are making new highs on this uptrend. You can see that we hit 430 bucks in the S&P 500 and we've been on this beautiful uptrend moving up day after day for about the past month, making new highs just today and finally starting to recover significantly from the massive bear market that we've been in for the first 6 months of the year that a lot of people are still very scared of. A lot of people still think that we'll be moving down in significant ways in the near future. And that's a possibility, but I'm going to explain some things that make me think otherwise. Now, here you have the fear and greed index. And this index finally today just turned to the positive side, to the greedy side. It was in neutral territory at the previous close of yesterday. It was still a neutral rating, but finally, we're seeing people start to get a little bit more greedy, start to buy up stocks a little bit more strongly. And we've actually, moved quite significantly from where we were just a couple of months ago when we were not just in the fear territory, but also extreme fear. You can see the timeline of how far we've risen in terms of people's sentiment towards the market. It's just been getting better and better over the past couple of months as we've gotten better and better data, and the world has started to stabilize itself a little bit. That's been very beneficial for markets. And finally, we're in greedy territory. We'll see if we can get to extreme greed and get some real gains coming in the market over the next couple of months, maybe to some all-time highs. We'll see if that's a possibility. But regardless of what happens in the near-term future, overall, I think it's a really good idea, in my personal non-financial advice opinion, to be buying, to be investing now rather than later, especially because we have just gone through a big downturn. This was a pretty significant downturn. If you look at the long-term chart, if you look at the max chart, all things considered, this was quite significant. You can see we did lose a massive amount of value in the stock market over the course of just 6 months. We lost a lot about 2 years prior during the COVID crash right here. And over history, you can see there are only so many of these big drops. And a lot of people see these big drops and they get very fearful because they don't realize that there is time yet ahead of them when the market will most likely be rising. There is a quote that I'd like to bring up from A. Milne. He says, "Rivers know this. There is no hurry. We shall get there someday." And that applies very strongly to the stock market because you can see, despite all of these massive crashes that caused a lot of pain for people, we're highlighting some of them. Sometimes people lost 10%, 20%, 30%, maybe even 50% of their account values. Despite all of these crashes, you can see even the Great Recession in 2008 and the dot-com bubble in the 2000s, the early 2000s, these were all very negative events, but over time, the market came back and the market continued to do incredibly well, as it has throughout pretty much all of history. I mean, you can see it's just been up and up and up. Every now and then there is a massive recession that takes you down dramatically. More recently, in more recent history, we've actually seen people maybe catch on to that, catch on to the idea that markets do go down for a sustained period and that that's actually a great buying opportunity, that's when you want to be buying up stocks. And so the crashes that we've seen more recently, now that people have access to the internet and all this information and historical data, people have actually been buying up during these recessions and these crashes much more quickly. And you see the gains return much more quickly. You see markets return to all-time highs much more quickly than they used to in the past. And I believe that's what we're experiencing right now. Call me an optimist, but I think that we're doing the same thing we have for the past couple of decades where, the market goes through a brief little crash. It lasts for maybe a couple of months, 6 months this time. It was somewhat sustained. It was somewhat painful for a lot of people. I know that. But overall, 6 months isn't the longest period of time. And now we're back on the up and up, back on our way. Now that some better data has been coming out, people are moving out of fearful territory. They're becoming more greedy in the market. And, it looks to me like stocks are in a pretty prime position, a pretty right position to be getting bought up. I know that I've been buying over the past couple of months, not only as the crash has been going on, but as the rally has been continuing after the crash. I've been a buyer of stocks. And overall, it's not financial advice, it's just my opinion that stocks are in a prime position to be bought because over the long run, you can see the historical data that shows stocks pretty much always move up over a given period of years. Over 3 or 4 years, if you're not needing the money before that time frame is run out, then you're pretty much almost guaranteed to be in the green. Not necessarily if you're investing in individual stocks. Obviously, some companies do go bankrupt, but if you're just investing generally and diversifying yourself effectively, then in my opinion, it's not financial advice. Once again, it's just my opinion. I think now's a great time to be buying because overall, I think you'll probably be a lot better off if you're investing for the long term and you have a bunch of positions well diversified and you get in as soon as possible. That's just my opinion, not financial advice. If you guys appreciate it, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.